W right there.
So it sounds
Oh
like
man,
it's a pretty solid
We
Raw.
appreciate all you guys. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you guys. Yeah, and it was a great Raw. Like it was, I kind of took a break from wrestling for a little bit, but I started getting into it again this like Thanksgiving, and yeah. So
All right, so it looks like we're having a couple of issues.
Oh my gosh! All right.
Oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
there
Now
we
we
go.
got some
I told you,
sound.
I'm adulting better than him already.
All right, Hunter, say ass.
What?
Say ass.
No.
You're an adult. Come on, don't be scared.
You're an adult. You can say ass now.
No.
See, he's being a good boy.
Before we get into it, there's been a little controversy. I'll come to find out, so I'm gonna have to address it real quick. Apparently, last week I said some things about our new WWE, the United States champion Logan Paul, that upset some people. So I'm gonna set the record straight. Logan Paul as a guy, not a fan. As a wrestler, I can honestly say, and I've said it before, he hasn't had a match yet that hasn't been just an absolute banger. So as a wrestler, I've got respect for the guy. Like, I don't understand. He's got all this stuff going on, and I don't understand all these people that just run out and try to support everything he does. And, they try to get their prime drinks all the time. And, oh, that's good.
I'm curious because I'm like, how are they gonna make someone? Because all the promos they've done to build him up, I'm like, the way that Sammy's been taking shots for Roman Reigns, the only real shot he's given back is a shot with the chair, and then he just got mollywopped. He's never been the guy who just comes out and messes people up.
What do you get?
And can overpower Roman Reigns. What?
What do you get?
Wally mopped, obviously.
And even beat him. Sorry to say, but he's a legend. But to be the best, you must beat the best, And I feel like I can beat him. So Chavo, I'm calling you out. I said, come on.
There it is. Chavo Guerrero. Right there. You heard it. Emilio Guzman calling you out, and I'm not gonna lie. Love Chavo to death, but Team Emilio right here. That's where I have to go.
And then he
Why you
freaking
got-
matches.
You were talking trash about Drew McIntyre the other day.
I was.
Easy.
Bullshit.
Okay, no. All right. I was just saying he's not number one pick contention.
That's not true.
I mean, but
Okay, stop this violence.
All right.
No more Russell on Russell violence. Unless I'm doing it.
that's funny. All right. So, anyways,
is going to be the year for West Texas Wrestling, especially at Squared Circle Pro. But July 19th, that is going to be an event that you will not want to miss under any circumstances, because I am dead set to make that night the biggest night in West Texas wrestling history.
And leading the way, and so are we seeing a shift to all your heavyweight stuff on Raw and your high flying luchador stuff on SmackDown?
I can tell you that is charcuterie because Ricochet is on Raw. Okay.
It's not shark.
that is a bunch of shark.
All right.
Well, yeah. With that, we're at.
Having the Macho Man Chris Wolf out there was very good for me. There was something that I really wish Little Guapo could have been there for, because it's a throwback, in my opinion, to the Attitude Era days. Because said trash can that was being used to beat upon Logan Knight got placed on Logan Knight. And they were taking turns just beating him up in the trash can. And it was great.
That's like definitely.
What you think?
So The Rock is on Buddy's list. The Rock is on my list. The Rock is on your list. The Rock is on our chat's list. The real question that we need to ask the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling podcast is, can any of us here smell what The Rock is
It
cooking?
doesn't matter if you smell.
Oh my goodness, it doesn't.
But it's things like that. It doesn't matter.
We need to talk about that.
Tickle.
That's how the saying goes.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, tickle, tickle. I think, Rick, if you know, be concerned if he ever comes to you talking about tickle. Just, I mean,
Hey,
I
all
don't-
right, all right.
I'm not sure what's going on there.
At the hour and a half mark, I think we've gotten a little.
You're okay. I don't know if he's watching live, but it spoke with Scar a little earlier. What's up, everybody? Welcome to tonight's episode of the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, the tutorial boss, the one and only Guapo. With me, the man himself, Rick Elzy. Rick, what's up, brother?
Hey, I'm doing really, really well. I'm excited about tonight.
It's going to be a lot of fun. You becoming a bit of a staple on the show here.
Well, I'm a little bit of a big deal. I don't like to talk about that.
Yeah, well, we have to reserve another show for that. You know. No, as always, of course,
Wrestling.
happy to have you here.
I just love wrestling, and any wrestling show that'll have me on to run my mouth, I'm happy to do it.
Well, you're of course always welcome here. Glad to have you aboard. Want to say what's up to everybody in the chat. We've got BCW Texas, Mikey in the chat, Aaron Marie in the chat. What's up? Glad you could be here tonight. It's gonna be a good show. But before we get started, of course, as always, got a few thank yous to throw out. Ross and the boys from Labor 12 for our intro outro music. Track's called Head Rush, album called Monsters. If you haven't checked it out, it's been like a year. What the hell? Go check it out. As far as I understand, we've got a second album coming out soon. Of course, Little Guapo is supposed to be on the show with me tonight, but things have ensued. So we've got Mikey saying, Little Guapo, you look way different than I remember. Kind of looking a little like Rick. But yeah, so I want to say thank you to Ross and the boys from Labor 12. If you haven't checked them out, labor12.com. That's laborxii.com. Want to say thank you to Joe and everybody at American Legacy for our merchandise. We, of course, got our hats, our skull caps, our beanies. J-Reb has threatened me with Tiffy Time keychains. I mean, the merch world's blowing up. It's crazy. But I do want to say thank you to them. Speaking of Cameron and J-Reb, you see this piece of awesomeness right here? That is a J-Reb 3D printing original made just for us here at the podcast. If you have a logo, something you want to get done, that jrebs3dprinting.com. Cameron will hook you up. It will look, well, maybe not as badass as mine because, well, not me, but it's still going to look badass. So make sure you get a hold of Cameron, jrebs3dprinting.com, heckyeahradio.com. I want to say thank you to everybody there. If you miss one of the shows, you can go to heckyeahradio.com, click on the Not Your Average Mark link, and it will take you to all of our audio podcasts. We want to thank Blind Ambition Studios for all of the badass graphics that we get. And of course, it wouldn't be right if we didn't take the opportunity to thank the guy, Patrick, making all of this work, making us look good. For me, that's hard work, man. You know, he should get paid double time just for that. One of the things
if he'll actually watch some wrestling, then he can get paid double time.
Fair point. Fair point. One of the things the guy has worked really, really hard on is our website. If you haven't checked it out, head over there right after the show. It is notyouraveragemark.com. We've got all sorts of stuff on there for you to check out. It's an awesome website, and he's done a great job on it. So big props, big thank yous to the guy.
Yes.
And now let's get into this.
Very easy to maneuver through the website. Lots of good stuff on there.
Yeah, he did a great job with it. I'm way happy. With that, let's get into this week in wrestling. I mean, it is a wrestling podcast after all.
Yeah, it is.
So let's start out with some SmackDown. Let's start out with our champion, Cody Rhodes. kind of not what I expected from him. You know, we're getting ready to go into SummerSlam. I'm expecting Cody Rhodes to be, you know, Solo. I'm going to rip your arms off and beat you with them. But kind of an introspective, if you will. Says, you know, last week I was sure I was ready for this. This week, I'm not so sure I am ready. Which wasn't expecting that, but it is kind of a good way to break things up. And for me, this gives Cody saying that the way he did, just that one little blurb, gives validity to Solo Sikoa. Maybe not as, I was going to say, maybe not as, you know, tribal chief, because Roman's my tribal chief, but it does give Solo validity in where he's at right now.
The whole idea is to cast a shred of doubt and make people say, you know, is there an opportunity for Solo here to win? Because when you look at everything that's going on and you look on paper, and you know that right after Mania, we had a program between Rock and Cody advertised, teased, and we know Roman's coming back at some point, and we know Randy Orton's been looking at the belt, and there's all these things that are going on. The conventional wisdom is not that Solo will win the title. So it's a responsible move on the booking part to have Cody display doubt.
Well, and to play devil's advocate for a minute, you're absolutely right in the fact that all of the things going on lead you down a path where Cody keeps the belt. But if you've watched wrestling for any amount of time, you know, face is always better with the chase.
Always.
And so, you know, do we have an instance where we put Cody back on the chase? I mean, you could see like this tomorrow, we have the Guerrillas of Destiny going against DIY for the tag titles. They pick up the tag titles. Solo picks up the world title, and all of a sudden, we've got the new bloodline with all the gold.
Yep.
So I mean, that's always a possibility as well.
It's possible.
So I did like the way Cody, without doing anything, Cody put over Solo in this. And kudos to Cody for that. And I dug it. I thought it was cool. Of course, we had LA Knight versus Santos Escobar. My man LA Knight, yeah. I cannot wait for SummerSlam, especially after watching this. This was already a good match. Santos Escobar has come into his own. Like, I'm not going to lie. I wasn't a big Escobar fan whenever he first came in. He has come into his own, and LA Knight is just one of those people that if you get in the ring with him, he is going to elevate you.
Yeah. Escobar is good. I mean, he's lucha royalty. I mean, the thing is that if you look at WWE right now and you see you've got Andrade, you've got Santos Escobar, you've got Dragon Lee, you've got Rey Mysterio. I mean, right now, you've got 4 of the biggest families south of the border represented in one company. It's huge. And if they ever get their hands on Roosh, I mean, good Lord. I mean, my gosh.
Something we're going to talk about a little after we get through the rest of the week, but we need to talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Of course, LA Knight able to pull the win off in this one, and we get the United States champion Logan Paul coming down, running his mouth. I'm going to make a great homecoming, blah, 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 blah. They have done a great job of building this match at SummerSlam.
Boy, he made people mad today.
Okay, lay it on me, because I've been straight work today, so I haven't got a chance
He
to
was
look
talking,
at it.
well, you know, there's that whole thing with the Olympics and transgender athletes and all that stuff, and Logan Paul decided to go out there and just and I mean, people, he has been getting raked over the coals all day.
Well, and I don't know why he's adding, fuel to the fire because as Aaron brought up in the chat, he's catching a whole lot of heat right now because of the Olympics and from Coca-Cola. I mean, there's
Aaron's
so much
saying.
going on right now. Like,
Yeah.
why would you throw fuel on that fire? And the one thing I did see today, and I'm not gonna. This is the only. So it's put out there. This is the only thing I'm gonna say about this. I'm not getting into all of the craziness that is the Olympics right now. But there was a boxing match today. There were some things that happened. Go look it up if you want to know what I'm talking about. Logan Paul's brother, Jake,
Mhm.
offering the Italian boxer a chance on an MVP undercard to show what she is able to do, to showcase her talents against another female.
Mhm.
So, more fuel on the fire, if you will. And again, that's the only thing I'm going to say about it because I'm not getting into all that.
Look, the Paul boys are YouTubers first. They're social media people first. Their entire career is based on engagement, whether it's positive or negative. So they understand stoke the fire and you'll get the clicks.
They're getting some clicks, all right. All right, so we go from there to Bailey and Michin versus Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax. Tiffany. I like the fact that they're putting Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax together. First off, Nia Jax is probably the best I've seen her in her career right now. From
easy.
on the mic, in the ring, even if,
Yeah.
well, no, she hasn't done commentary. Never mind. But she is probably the best version of herself that I've seen thus far, and kudos to her for that.
She needed to get released and she needed a break. She needed to go out and figure out who she was.
Mhm.
And she's come back, and it doesn't hurt that the guy that's booking her right now is the guy who was booking her when she was a menace to begin with. So, but yeah, Nia Jax right now, a hugely important piece of WWE's women's division.
Yes, agree wholeheartedly, and I like that they're putting her with Tiffany Stratton.
Oh
And
yeah, perfect.
like we're gonna get more into this when we talk about our SummerSlam predictions, but the fact that they're putting them together is part of the reason one of my predictions is going to be what it is.
It's Beauty and the Beast.
I'm gonna let you say which is which because I ain't going to,
Oh, very easily. Nia's the Beast.
Well,
Look, I have hated for a long time. The only thing about Nia Jax that I have absolutely loathed, I hate that they call her the irresistible force. Because that comes from Andre and Hogan, with them calling Hogan the irresistible force, meeting the immovable object of Andre the Giant.
Yep.
Nia Jax is an immovable object. I hate that they painted her as the irresistible force because I believe that actually did not do her any favors.
Agreed. This match was good. Like there were a lot of spots in this match that I was impressed with. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was
Michin, I've always liked Michin. Like she's great, and I can't say enough about Bailey. Like Bailey's just like LA. Like I said about LA Knight, Bailey's just one of those people. If you're in the ring with Bailey, you're gonna have a good match, whether you have a good match or not.
Bailey is 100% the workhorse of WWE's women's division.
Absolutely, she is. And putting these four in the ring together, I loved it. It was great. Of course, Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax get the win. I'm interested to see how that plays off tomorrow night going into SummerSlam. So Nia Jax talking about she's going to get Tiffany Stratton a new. I can't even say Tiffy. It just talking about going to get her a new case because, of course, Bailey trashed her case. And I'm telling you right now, if you've ever seen the movie Clueless, that's what I'm picturing her damn briefcase looking like, is what Elle carries around all the time. She keeps a little, she's going to show up with a little dog in her briefcase.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, take it. Want to say what's up to Stitch Artemis 21 joining us in the chat. Stitch, what's up, man? Glad you could be here. From there, we go into the tag team gauntlet match to determine the number one contenders to the WWE Tag Team Champions. Those champions, of course, DIY. You know, Shawn Michaels and Triple H.
Yep.
That should be the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but it's funny to me, and I can't explain why. It wouldn't be funny if anybody but R-Truth did it.
It's funny because of how ridiculous it is, and because he is completely unserious. So it doesn't feel forced because his character is freaking ridiculous. So of course that's what he would say. It's perfect. R-Truth has the cushiest job in the world right now. All he has to do is go out there and say dumb crap. That's all he has to do.
That's all he has to do.
And then, of course, rap the same damn song for 20 years. So
okay, calm down. We're not going to get into that again.
saying, tell me when I'm telling lies.
Yeah, you make a valid point. 20 years of what's up is a lot.
Yeah.
You know, you and I were talking earlier today about R-Truth and, you know, his music being the same from the time he debuted. I first saw R-Truth in a dark match.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't R-Truth, he was K-Quick.
K-Quick, yep.
And he was in a match against Papi Chulo, which later went on to be Essa Rios.
Yep.
And his manager at the time, who I don't remember what she was calling herself then, but she went on to be Lita.
She was Lita.
Was she still Lita at that time?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because she came from ECW. She was Miss Congeniality.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that was my introduction to R-Truth, and watching him do a flat-footed standing I forget what it's called now.
I don't know.
It's a Steiner move.
Who? Oh, the
There's a Steiner
Frankensteiner?
move.
Frankensteiner?
Yeah, doing a Frankensteiner from flat-footed, jumping up and doing a Frankensteiner. It was the coolest thing I ever saw. Thought it was great.
Yeah, K-Quick, Ron Killings, he came from NWA Wildside.
Yes.
And he broke in. He broke in same promotion as AJ Styles. Matter of fact, they had a lot of their first matches together.
Cool. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's why I like having you on the show. I get these little tidbits that I didn't know. Looking over at the chat, we got Stitch Artemis. Stitch, I'm good. I'm enjoying, you know, talking about some wrestling, getting ready for SummerSlam. And don't tell me what to do. Long story there. So this tag team gauntlet match, this was good. You've got the Street Profits. You've got the OC, who we haven't seen in a little while, so it's good to see them. You've got Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews. I like that they're finally starting to circle back to Baron Corbin. And then you had Legado del Fantasma and Pretty Deadly and Tama Tonga and Tongaloa. Let me ask you this.
Pretty stacked tag division.
When they listed this out as who's going to be in this match, was there any doubt in your mind that Tama Tonga and Tongaloa were going to win this match?
No.
Like this, it was kind of a given for me that they're going to win this match. But even with it being a given, you know, this is who I think is going to win this match. The match itself was great.
No, yeah, it was good. It was really good. I mean, you know, it was kind of a curveball throwing Jacob Fatu in there.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean,
still, it's bloodline. It's fine.
Tongaloa is doing the whole, you know, Samoan pirate thing right now.
I think there's something going on with him. He's either hurt or there's some kind of a contract. Something is going on because he has not wrestled at all.
This is true.
Something's going on. I don't know what's happening, but something's happening.
So, of course, Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu are the winners of the match. They will be facing DIY tomorrow night on SmackDown for SmackDown tag titles. We're
Probably
calling
going to
it-
win. They're
Yeah,
probably.
I kind of feel like they take those, but I said whenever DIY won them that I felt like they were placeholders. Not that I
Of
don't
course.
think they deserve it, and I think it was great that they did it in the same city they won them the first time.
Yeah.
But I felt
It's
like it was a
also-
placeholder move.
It's also extremely possible that it goes to a non-decision and they rematch it on the pre-show of SummerSlam because it is Johnny's hometown.
True, and 3 hours worth
Oh,
of pre-show for SummerSlam.
There's going to be matches. They're
there's
not
gotta
going to talk for 3 hours. They're not.
There's got to be matches.
But I can guarantee you that this is what's going to happen. That all the people that have been throwing fits about the 3 hour pre-show, oh, I'm not going to watch it. It's 3 hours of talking. I'm not going to watch it. And then they're going to end up having 2 or 3 matches. And then everybody's going to be just as mad because the matches weren't announced in advance and they missed them.
Why
So
didn't
it's
you tell us there were going to be matches? All right, this is me, Guapo, and Rick Elsie telling you, watch the damn pre-show. There's
Watch
going to
pre-show.
be matches.
they don't have to tell you everything. Sometimes
part of
it's
the-
better to just see something happen.
So now we're going to get into a couple of things that I'm not as keen on for SmackDown. You know, the matches, I thought they were good, but we had a promo from Naomi. She cut a promo on Blair Davenport, which is building the rivalry. I like it. It's cool. I dig it. It seemed a little out of place to just jump in there with that. And then the other one we had was Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. They came out to the ring. They cut promos on the our current WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, and it really, really felt like this could have been a backstage vignette. Like it didn't have a lot of meat to it. Like when you're talking about Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, I don't want to use the word time filler, but that's what it felt like.
See, and I feel like the only reason that it wasn't a backstage segment was because they were there and WWE has an investment in both of them and they wanted them to get their entrances and come out and be seen. So
I can see that.
I mean, that to me is the only explanation why that didn't happen backstage. But you're right. It did seem like a filler moment. But I think that right now, what people are going to have to get on board with is that WWE is so talent heavy right now. They're so star heavy. There are so many people in that company that you can absolutely see sliding right into a main event spot, that there is not enough time to get everyone on the show. And you're just going to have to get used to seeing people used as cardboard cutouts sometimes just to make sure that they're on TV.
That's fair. And on one hand, I like that. I like that there's that much talent that we can do that. On the other hand, I always worry about the NWO effect.
Yeah. And that's a real thing. It's a fine line, and you just got to hope that they walk it right. I think that right now, as far as creative goes, I don't think WWE has had this kind of goodwill in 20 years.
No.
So I'm
No,
not
they're
worried.
definitely
I'm just going to watch and see. I'm just going to enjoy it.
Yeah, they're definitely on a fast moving train right now, and I'm all about it. I love it. I just, like I said, there's always that little voice in the back of my
Yeah.
mind going,
But it should.
everybody's in NWO.
It should.
I don't know. It was a good show overall. It wasn't, grand slam, but not
No.
every show can be.
No, I think it was. I mean, for me, I think it was a solid low B.
That's kind of where I'm at. B.
Yeah.
I'm looking over at the chat. Aaron Marie saying, I think if they don't get used, some people are going to leave and say heck with it. And that is a real possibility. I mean, that does happen all the time, you know?
Well, it's happening right now. Bobby Lashley and MVP are leaving.
Yeah. You kind of wonder if you kind of wonder if the way they're being used played into some of Ricochet leaving.
I think it did. But again, you know, there are some people who are just content to show up, get the paycheck, eat in catering, and be available to be used where they need me. There are some people that want to go out there and perform. And if you feel like you want to bet on yourself and go somewhere else, I think that's perfectly fine to do that. And you know, the current roster has so many people on it that left, came back. I mean, Bobby Lashley and MVP were two people who left and came back.
Yep.
So, I mean, how many times has Shelton Benjamin been there? You know, I mean, it's just Drew McIntyre, Jinder Mahal. I mean,
Well, and we talked a little bit about the women's division earlier. You know, we have a stacked women's division. But
Yep.
what happens when Charlotte Flair comes back and when Asuka comes back? I mean, we get all of these people come back. We have an even more bloated roster.
Yeah.
Like, what do you
Yeah.
do at that point?
well, and I think that the lucky thing for WWE right now is that NXT has a deal coming up to move to the CW, which
Mhm.
means they're going to not be viewed as developmental anymore. They're going to be looked at as an absolute third brand, which is equal to Raw and SmackDown on a different show, a different network. And I think that as soon as these bigger names come back because they're off the injured list, you're going to have an influx of people who need somewhere to go. And suddenly, I think you're going to see an influx of talent to NXT,
I agree. I agree with that.
which is okay. It's absolutely
says-
okay.
Mikey says, who is the winner in this? We are.
We absolutely are.
Aaron Marie saying AEW is going downhill everywhere. Everybody's leaving there. I'll get into Tony Khan in a minute. Let's get through Raw and then I'll get into my thoughts on Tony Khan. I'm with you on SmackDown. I give it low to mid-level B. It was a decent show. It wasn't anything major.
It was perfectly acceptable wrestling programming.
I like it. We'll leave it at that. So let's get into Raw. Before we do, of course, want to say to everybody watching, everybody live right now, everybody that's watching after the fact, if you're listening to the audio podcast, hit the socials, click the follows, the bells, the subscribes, click all the things because it helps us get out to more people. It helps us bring more content to you guys. So make sure you go out to the socials, click all the things. Now that we got our shameless plug in, let's get into Raw.
All righty then.
So I love the fact that Seth Rollins is making the rules for Drew McIntyre and CM Punk at SummerSlam. I'm not at all sure what the hell that outfit he came out in was.
Seth Rollins.
Or Becky.
Hey, look, Seth
Like
Rollins.
I feel like he raids her closet. I do. I mean,
Seth Rollins is firmly secure in his masculinity,
of course.
and he likes to be fashionable.
Is that what we're calling that?
I think it is. I think that man spends all his free time going to thrift stores, and I think he's loving every minute of it. But I'll tell you what this feels like. This whole Drew Rollins Punk thing, this feels like Undertaker Bret Hart SummerSlam '97, where Michaels was the ref. And I would almost put money that we're gonna get the same spot but it's gonna be the other way around, and it's gonna be Seth swinging that chair and hitting Punk and it's going to be Drew getting the pin, and then we're off to the races with Punk and Rollins.
We're gonna get into that in a minute. Let's get through Raw. Having them come out and get face to face was awesome. I like the fact Drew McIntyre is probably my favorite person on the mic right now
He's
because he
good.
comes out and he's just I'm cool, I'm calm, I'm collected. I have your bracelet.
His fingers. He had it in his
Yeah.
fingers. Love that.
It's like I have your bracelet, and Punk did a good job of selling it. Like there's like 18 people holding Punk back, and nobody's touching Drew because Drew's not doing anything. And Seth did a good job of saying the only person that hates CM Punk as much as you do is me. And Drew's like, yeah. And then he takes a step over and says, and the only person that hates Drew McIntyre more than you do is me. So I don't know what to expect from this. It's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy, and I'm here for it.
Very, very rich, complex storytelling. I love it.
It is, and I love the way they did it. I love that they opened the show with it.
Yep.
I think it was great.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into some of the matches. We had Xavier Wood versus Karrion Kross. Now this has been building for a little while. I did too, and I love like Xavier Woods has taken the phrase mean mug to a whole new level.
Yeah.
Like that was angry, like that his whole face, man.
Yeah.
And as soon as Karrion Kross made the wrong mention of Kofi, it was on. It was on and ugly.
Yep. Yep.
So I enjoyed watching this. They beat the hell out of each other. When it was all said and done, of course, Karrion Kross gets the victory. This is not over by any stretch of the
No.
imagination.
No, and they kicked it up a notch. They
Mhm.
kick it up, dude. The post match when he was down in Xavier's ear, and he's like, "Why do you make me do these things to you? Like all I'm trying to do is lift you up." I mean, that is amazing. It was so good, so good.
Again with the storytelling. I mean,
At this point now, I want Xavier Woods to join the Final Testament. That's where I'm. I want Kofi to come back. I want Xavier to see what Cross is saying, and I want Xavier Woods to give up, and I need Karrion Kross to be my guru. I need it. I want it.
oh, I hate it, but I love it at the same time. It drives me crazy. Great match. I loved it. Every minute of it.
Yep.
We had Sheamus versus Bronson Reed. These aren't in any particular order, but this was a good match. I was expecting Pete Dunne to come out. I was not expecting a shillelagh to the forehead, but Bronson Reed gets the win in this, and all this does is elevate Sheamus and Pete Dunne.
Oh yeah, and they
So-
even played a Pete Dunne interview on NXT where he went in depth about how Sheamus is the one who gave him a stupid name, and Sheamus is the one who
Ooh.
held him back, and Sheamus is the one who abandoned him. You know, I mean, there's some deep-seated issues, and I cannot wait to see these guys have a program.
Well, and let's talk about that for a second. You know, the promos that we're getting, especially on Raw this week, like they're on a whole new level. The Damian Priest promo where he's talking about, you know, you want to talk about me being garbage from the streets? These are my streets. You're coming into my streets. Welcome to my house. You know,
Every single promo right now from everybody feels uber personal.
well, it's not even the fact that it's personal. It's that it feels personal. It doesn't sound like they're reading cue cards. Tony Khan. It is very personal, and the camera work, the different angles, and the different backgrounds. It's not like, you know, standing next to the WWE sign or standing where they used to have the chain link fence with the trash can beside. It's not that. It's, you know, Gunther in an empty arena. It's it's Rhea. I'm not sure where Rhea was, but
I thought Gunther cut that promo on the hard cam side at AEW.
during the show. Um, sorry.
That was rude. That was rude.
I should have done that. My bad. But no, the I love that they're doing the multi-camera angles, that they're doing different places, that they're making them personal promos. I dig it. We had main event Jey Uso going up against Carlito. All right, I like Carlito. He's cool. You see what I did there? However, when it was funny when I said he reminded me of the drunk uncle whenever the whole Liv and Dom thing were happening. But now he looked like the drunk uncle out in the ring. Like he was like out of it the whole time. I'm not sure. Like he got a few moves in, but Jay just kicked his ass.
And that's Carlito's job now. Carlito is a recognizable name that can go in here and give people wins. Yeah. And the entire purpose of his entire involvement in that match was to fill his mouth full of apples so that when he got speared, he could spit it all out.
Yep. Honestly, I was waiting for that because I was like, this is going to happen.
Look, Carlito understands what he's being asked to do. He's getting a nice check, I'm sure. And he's getting his family's being provided for, and he is not having to bust his ass. So
I mean, that's fair.
Hey, the man,
I would take that deal.
Look, anybody would. Who wouldn't? I mean, you can go out there. Yes, could Carlito make a living on the indie scene? Absolutely. Is he more likely to get hurt on the indie scene? Yes, he is. So if he can go make a better living on TV, being in backstage segments, being funny, eating apples, and getting pinned every once in a while, more power to him.
Agreed. It was funny to watch him walk around like the whole damn match.
I think he's hilarious. I love Carlito.
I do too. I think it's great.
He's amazing.
We had Lyra Valkyria, Katana Chance, and Kaden Carter versus Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, and Sonya Deville.
I really liked this.
It was a good match. Like, I like the fact that they put together Katana Chance, Kaden Carter, and Lyra Valkyria. I think it works.
Fun. They're fun. It's a fun trio.
You know, before we go into that, I've got to look at what Mike's saying here. He makes a valid point. You've got Braun, Jay, Lashley, Roman. How many more people do we need to finish with a spear?
I get that. Lashley's gone. And the spear is not Jay's finish.
No, the splash is after the.
But I understand. But I will say this too. I would rather see everybody on the roster adopt the spear and stop using the DDT as a transitional hold. Because I hate that. I hate that. I can't stand it. So if you want to overuse the spear all day long, go right ahead.
You know, I'm not the biggest fan of the DDT. I was back in the day. You know, nobody did the DDT like Jake Roberts, but I feel it's more of a you have to do something like the Future Shop DDT. Okay, I get that. I dig it. It works well. I like it. But occasionally in a lucha match, the float over DDT is cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying they can't use it every now and again. I'm just saying when you throw it in the first 3 moves of the match and then you have another 7 minutes of action, you're really defeating that hold. Sure. That was a hold that used to take people off television for months.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the one thing about wrestling is that the further we go down the path, the more modern it gets. People are kicking out of everything. People are devaluing moves left and there is no such thing as a finisher because nothing finishes anything. You have to, because you have to have 19 false finishes before you can ring a bell. How many
Well,
times? How many times can you get hit with a power bomb before if you're kicking out like 19 times, and then finally the 20th one killed you? That's ridiculous.
No, and I agree with that. And I think Randy Orton put it best not too long ago. He was talking about, if you're in a match and they take your leg out, then your leg is done. You don't just, I did this set of moves, now I'm going to get up and walk around like it never happened. Your leg is done.
Exactly. Your leg is done. Find another way to fight or end the match.
Yeah. Aaron Marie saying,
Nobody should be ashamed to lose a match because something like that happened. Turn it into a story.
yeah,
Everybody's got
absolutely.
to get their shit in. It's ridiculous.
I know. Aaron Marie in the chat saying, I wish they would bring back some of the old school stuff and wrestlers just for like one pay-per-view. The reason I don't think WWE is doing that is that has kind of become an AEW staple. And comically, it's people from WWE that they're saying, okay, you come over here, be on our show now. We'll give you lots of money. WCW.
Yep.
But I think that's why WWE is not doing that right now, because you've got the older names showing up at AEW. You've got some of the older names leaving AEW and showing up in TNA, like the Hardy Boys. So I don't know that we'll be seeing that. Mike saying at least we aren't no-selling pile drivers on the stairs. We're not even going to get into that. I can see the look on your face. But let's get back to this 6-woman match. It was great. Like, I am all about Lyra Valkyria, Katana Chance, and Kaden Carter. They are probably the best babyface grouping you could put together for a match like this, and it works well because Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, and Sonya Deville are the best heel people you could put together for this.
And suddenly, brand new coat of paint. Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler suddenly mean something again.
Yep, and that's all it. You said it probably the best it could be said. Brand new coat of paint, and here we go. Yep. So I love this match. I thought it was great. I would have liked to have seen it go the other way, but Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, Sonya Deville able to get the win in the end. Beforehand, and this was kind of a we're going to go out there and we're going to have this match because we're standing up for Zelina Vega. Earlier in the night, Zelina Vega, of course, in a that's not a cast, I guess. I don't know what you'd call that. She got her arm wrapped up.
She had a sleeve. There's a
With
sleeve.
Yeah. She's got a sleeve on protecting her arm, and she got jumped straight up. There's no other way to put it. She got jumped by Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, and Sonya Deville.
Mm-hmm.
And she tried to fight her way out of it. Good on her for it.
Yep.
We also had Sami Zayn versus Dominic Mysterio. Dom did a good job. Dom did a good job. There, I said it. Dom did a good job. It was a good match. As much as it pains me to say Dom did well, he really did. Like, him and Sammy played off of each other very, very well in this match. I don't much care for Dominic Mysterio, and he makes it hard not to. Like, it was a good match. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Would you like to hear a bold sweeping prediction?
Yes, give me a bold sweeping prediction.
By WrestleMania 45, Dominic Mysterio will be a world champion.
You shut your mouth.
Watch.
I don't even want to picture that. I can't disagree with it, though.
Look at where he was during the pandemic, and look at him now.
Oh no, huge, like leaps and bounds in character development.
Dude, he's and as soon as they pull the trigger however they want to do it, as soon as they pull that trigger and they let him have a redemption angle with his dad,
Mhm.
he's
'Cause that's
gonna
coming.
be one of the most over baby faces on the roster.
Oh, I know. I give Dom a lot of shit, but honestly, like he may be one of the most improved talents from this time last year to today
Oh
on
yeah.
the roster.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Very much so. Very much so.
Mikey's saying he looks like WCW Eddie and is getting bigger. He is putting on some muscle mass, no question about that. I love the fact that the crowd has gone from, we're not going to let him talk at all, to chanting, we're not going to let him talk because we're chanting "shave your mustache" or "lose the mustache." I mean, I dig it. I can't say nothing.
You know what Dom's progression from the moment he debuted as the fiery white meat baby face with a legacy to where he is now. I'm going to compare him to somebody you're probably going to scratch your head when I say this, but I feel like from the time he debuted, the reactions he was getting, where he is now and where he may be headed, his progression looks a lot like The Rock's. Because he
Hold on.
came in as a legacy and was
Fair.
shoved in. They shoved Dominic down our throats just like they did Rocky Maivia, and then they turned him heel when it was needed because the crowd was turning on him. And while he was a heel was when Rock developed his persona, and that's what Dominic Mysterio is doing. And then Rock got an opportunity to have redemption as a babyface, and that's what Dominic's about to have. I'm telling you, I'm not saying they're exactly the same. I'm saying it's very similar.
It is, and you're saying this, and all I'm hearing in the back of my head is The Rock's voice going, "How dare you, little jabroni."
Oh.
No, I think we're going to see bigger things. Aaron's in the chat saying they're pushing Eddie's character on him. I feel like I get it. Like I can see where you would feel that way. To me, this is subtle, long-term, full circle storytelling. Like they're not going to come out and say, wow, Dom looks a lot like Eddie used to. Like they're not going to go that deep into it, but the whole Eddie look and my deadbeat dad and all that, it's a subtle nod to Eddie's my dad.
Yeah, if you look, they know that there's a ton of fans out there who are aware of the Eddie storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have to flat out say it. All they have to do is little Easter eggs here and there. And when they do it, fans like us who know what they're doing, we see that and we're like, oh, that's amazing.
Yep.
So yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect.
So we've been through the rest of the card. We've got one more match. That was our main event. Finn Balor versus Gunther. If you saw pictures of Finn Balor after this match, like I've seen hamburger meat that looks better than his chest did. Like, I mean, just welted, and like there's a spot across here that looks like one giant blood blister.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was crazy.
Everyone knows what they're getting into with a Gunther match.
This is true. This was a good match. And there's a couple of times that I actually thought Finn was going to pull this off. And I was in my head trying to figure out, okay, where are we going in the story if Finn wins this? Mm-hmm. Gunther did get the win in the end, but I kind of wonder, did they tell him go home or something? Because, you had Finn fighting back out of the sleeper hold and then right back into the sleeper hold and then fight out and then right back into the sleeper hold until he was done.
It's very possible that they were there might have been some miscommunication on the spot with Damian coming back out. So they might have been on their way to something and then got told, oh, wait, you need to stretch for a little bit. So, I mean, I don't know. I just know that the match was really good. It showcased how much of a ring general, pardon the pun, Gunther really is. And I mean, because obviously he was leading that match, and it just was really good. It's really, really good storytelling.
It
And
is.
I love the backstage stuff with Finn. Like every single thing he says. Did you notice when the Judgment Day room got ransacked? Finn's face was the only one that didn't have spray paint on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, not only that, there's something that was said that I guarantee is going to be something that needs to be paid attention to in the weeks coming, and that was Finn looking Rhea and Damian in the face when they said, "We've got your back," and saying, "Do you not think I'm enough?"
Yeah.
That's coming back. That's coming back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is very, very deep storytelling. It's really good.
And the thing I love about it most is you have to pay attention. It's not just blatant in your face storytelling. It's you have to pay attention to the little things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Mike saying things that make you go,
Mm-hmm.
One match I forgot to talk about. We had the Alpha Academy versus the Creeds.
Mm.
And that was a great match.
Yep.
As much as I loved the match, it was the afterwards that I loved the most.
Yep.
I was kind of surprised that we took the masks off and did what we did out there. Of course, that being Dexter Lumis, Eric Rowan, and Joe Gacy, because I figured we wouldn't lose the masks in the ring until we got all of the videotapes in.
Yeah.
So I was a little surprised by that. This caused Chad Gable to ask for a match next Monday night. Wyatt versus the Creeds and Chad Gable. And
Yep.
you and I discussed this yesterday, day before. I love that they're doing this on Raw and not at the PLE.
Yeah.
Like this is I'm excited. And how often can you say, with the exception of WrestleMania, how often can you say I am so excited for the Raw after the PLE? You know,
Dexter Lumis looks like a completely different individual.
he looks
Like,
like Rob Zombie.
So he looks so good. He looks
He does.
so
He looks great. But he's
I
got
just
that
love-
Rob Zombie, I'm gonna kill you and eat your eyeballs look.
See, and I feel like Joe and Dexter are going to be the tag team.
Yes.
They're going to be the tag team, which is fine because they're perfect. They're perfect for each other.
Yeah, I am very
So
interested to
good.
see how that one turns out. Now there were a few moments, the Wyatt stuff being part of it. I can't wait to see how that does. They execute all of this stuff perfectly. Like
Mhm.
I don't know how much say in the writing process, the creative process that Taylor has in this, but everything the Wyatt Six does is executed perfectly.
I'd be willing to say he probably has more than 85% control of it.
I kind of hope so. I kind of hope that he does because it's so good. I love it so much. The other thing that I really enjoyed, as far as non-wrestling, was some of the stuff that was being said during the opening with Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, and CM Punk. Michael Cole making a point to, and I didn't realize this until he said it. This is CM Punk's first one-on-one bout in WWE in 10 and a half years.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Let that sink in for a minute.
Yeah, that's a big
10
deal.
and a half years.
His pop in Cleveland's going to be monstrous.
Oh, it is. It's going to be huge. And I like that he's not backing away from some of the language he used. I believe it was bootlicking office boy that he referred to Rollins as.
Dude, this whole angle, all three of them, everything is so personal. Everything is so inside. There are so many little things that people are raising their eyebrows at. the trolling online between Punk and McIntyre has been
Mhm.
top level. Like there's so much good stuff going on with this feud. People don't understand. Like when I see people gripe about what we're getting out of WWE right now, do you realize how good we're eating, you idiots? Like
Exactly.
like go back 5 years when it was rough to watch, when it was hard to be a fan. Like, how dare you complain right now? Like,
No, I agree wholeheartedly.
what do you want? What do you want?
Well,
I don't know what you want.
Mikey makes a good point as far as it being Punk's first one-on-one in 10 and a half years, first televised one-on-one.
Yes.
So appreciate that, Mike. That's a good point. Of course, I started all this off with saying I love Drew McIntyre on the mic, and not to be outdone, I love the fact that he said two things. One, I'm going to get paid so much money to do something I would have done for free.
I know.
I love that. And then I love the fact that he told Punk, I was just going to come out there and, beat you up a little bit, and I put you out for 7 months. I wasn't even trying. I loved it.
It's so
All
good.
in all,
So good.
I enjoyed Raw. I'd give it a solid A.
Solid A.
Being the Raw going into that's the last Raw going into SummerSlam, I give it a solid A. I liked it.
I'm going to add one more little sweeping observation to that that I want people to honestly really think about.
Okay.
One of the reason I think that Raw is so good right now because of the level of storytelling and complex character development that we're seeing is because it's a 3-hour show.
Yes.
And one of the reasons that SmackDown is suffering right now is because it's only a 2-hour show. So
I'm glad you said that, because something that threw me off a little bit during Raw was a SmackDown commercial. And of course, we all know that Raw is going to Netflix, SmackDown's going to USA, and NXT is going to CW. That's all supposed to take place in January.
Yep.
They put a commercial out, I believe it was the 13th of September. They're going to start doing SmackDown on Raw, or SmackDown on USA. So
Friday?
we're going to have Raw and SmackDown for 4 months on USA. And I got to thinking about why would they do that? The only thing I can come up with of why they're moving early is right now the biggest thing on Fox is SmackDown. But by the end of this month, going into September, the biggest thing on Fox is going to be NFL on Fox. And now you're competing.
Yep.
So I think that might have something to do with the move. But yeah, they're moving early. So
I just keep saying silent. I'm not a religious person, but I keep saying silent little prayers that while they move SmackDown over for a period of time, please put it on Wednesday. Please put it on Wednesday. just for the Twitter meltdown alone. Like just for the meltdown. Please put it on Wednesday.
Oh, but see, it's all going to be okay because the clown has new friends. Let's get into that for just a minute. I'm not going to give him a whole lot of time on my show, but let's get into it for just a minute.
There's really only one thing to talk about. There's only one thing to talk about.
I've got 3 things to talk about. I know, crazy, right? I found in all of AEW 3 things worth talking about. The first one being a picture has surfaced of the King Clown himself, Tony Khan, in a meeting room with the one and only Shane McMahon. Feels like we've done this before.
Oh, there's so much to say.
Feel like we've done this before.
Okay.
No, brother-in-law. There is this. The contract does say McMahon. Shane McMahon.
Look, Shane McMahon going to AEW does two things. The first thing it does, anybody that's not currently watching AEW, just on the morbid curiosity alone, is going to watch to see what they do.
Right.
And number two, their window of exclusivity for WBD and AEW to have sole exclusivity to a deal, that window ended today. So they are now available to negotiate with anybody. And if you've got Shane McMahon on the show, that's going to be more attractive to a TV deal. Because
That's got to be the.
McMahon is involved in it.
Well, I was going to say that's got to be the. Let's look at the benefits here. We'll start with the clown. I've got a McMahon on my show, and they're talking about he's going to be behind the scenes. No, he's not. When have you ever known Shane McMahon to be behind the scenes? Then,
No.
and if I've got Shane McMahon in my back pocket, that's the first card I'm playing.
Oh, yeah.
So of course he's going to be on TV. And with that, Tony, he gets a spike in viewership because there's a McMahon on AEW. They're legitimate now. Okay. So you get all these benefits for Tony Khan. What does Shane get benefited out of this other than, 2 weeks of relevancy?
Shane doesn't need the money.
No.
Shane doesn't
Shane
need the
is
money,
the money.
but he is going to get money.
Yeah.
If he goes, trust me, he's going to get paid.
Oh, I would hope.
But Shane also loved the spotlight. And at the same time, Shane got shoved out of the family business. They shoved him out. So I think there's a piece of Shane that needs to show the people who shoved him out that he is valuable.
Mike's in the chat saying the only time Shane was behind the scenes is when he was voicing over Funaki. Indeed.
Indeed.
I love it. I thought about Tie. Good stuff. The second thing I wanted to talk about with AEW is I'm pretty sure they tried to kill Mark Briscoe last night. I know it sounds funny, but I'm so sick and tired of watching people end up in moves or spots that are done so poorly that you have to wonder, is that person actually hurt?
Yeah.
And you don't see it on WWE, but you damn sure see it on AEW all the time. And I'm a big Mark Briscoe fan. So when I see him not able to get up at the end of the match, it's concerning.
Yeah.
And the third thing is, have we seen the last of Bryan Danielson?
No.
He put his career on the line against the belt.
To sell tickets.
Of course it's to sell tickets. But does
Bryan
he win?
Danielson has the same disease that everybody else in the business has. And the only way he's going to walk away is if he's in a wheelchair.
Oh, yeah.
If somebody out there was willing to give him the money and the platform, Flair would be wrestling right now.
You don't even put that in the universe.
It's a fact.
It is.
He pitched to turn heel on Sting for Sting's retirement so that he could have one more match.
I hear all the time, Ric Flair's got one. Ric Flair's got one more match. Ric Flair has -3 matches in it because he shouldn't have done the last 3.
No. Flair's last match should have been against Shawn Michaels, and that should have been the end.
Yep. I agree wholeheartedly.
He ruined what I believe at the time was the greatest send-off any wrestler's ever had.
Mm-hmm. I can't disagree with you on that.
Because he has the same sickness that they all have.
Well, that is the short little segment about AEW. There now, Tony Khan can't say I didn't talk about him. And
did great.
let me end that segment properly by saying that Tony Khan is a clown.
Yep.
So let's get into SummerSlam predictions. I am excited. So I'm going to run them down. If you're in the chat right now, I want to hear from you. Of course, Rick, I want to hear from you. I'm going to give mine. We're going to start with the fun one. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre with special guest referee Seth freaking Rollins.
Yep.
What do you got?
You're going to hear me say the same thing for every single one of these predictions, so I'm just going to say it one time right now. This card is probably one of my most favorite cards I've seen for SummerSlam in a long time because there is an argument in every match for the win to go either way.
Exactly.
And there is not a single match on this card that you look at the match and go, there is no way this person loses.
There's one.
I'll get to it. I'll get to it.
There's one.
But I will say this. My predictions, I have what I think is going to happen, and I have what I think they're going to do. CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, I do believe 100% that they are going to have Drew win this because he needs to win it.
He does.
But I think the story is rich enough with Drew getting in his own way that he could absolutely get clocked by a chair and lose. But I do think he's winning.
I'm with you on that. I feel like Drew McIntyre wins this for the reasons that you listed earlier. I feel like we get the Bret Hart, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels scenario all over again, and I think that I think Seth Rollins takes some frustration out with the chair.
Yep.
And he does it on CM Punk, and Drew McIntyre gets the win. We move into a CM Punk Seth Rollins feud. I'm not sure where we go with Drew, but I feel like it's the perfect way to set it up.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that. I'm saying Drew McIntyre walks away with it on that one. Our next one, the undisputed WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare versus Solo Sikoa from the Temu Bloodline.
I do believe that Cody is going to retain. And I believe it's going to be because, at the very least, Roman's music hits. And there's the distraction moment. I don't know that he shows up, but I think the music hits. But I could actually see them putting the belt on Solo because Cody is better at chasing than he is as champion.
I could see it. I personally am going to go the second route. I think that they're going to put the belt on Solo because I do think Cody needs to chase. And I think Cody his chase gets pushed back a little bit because I think we do get a returning Roman Reigns. Rumor is as early as tomorrow we get a returning Roman Reigns. But let's say it's not Roman Reigns. Let's say, music hits and outruns Zilla Fatu.
Yeah, or Hikuleo.
Or Hikuleo. Mike saying Solo has had 27 losses in 2024.
He has. He absolutely has. And here's the beautiful thing about storytelling and wrestling. Solo is surrounded by monsters.
Yes.
His promos are deep. The story is good. And it doesn't matter that he's lost all those matches. The only people that are counting those losses are the people that are either in the business and they're wrestlers, or they're people that are counting it to discount Solo's position. Because most everybody that I talk to, they just look at the Bad Bloodline as a threat, and they're dangerous, and Solo comes off like a mob boss who has the henchmen do all of his dirty work. So
It'll be interesting to see how they play this one out. But I do think Solo Sikoa ends up with the belt.
yeah,
So that's gonna be my pick
possible.
on it.
It's absolutely possible. The only
got
thing that keeps me from 100% agreeing with you is I really believe they're going to hit the Cody Randy storyline, and I think it needs the belt.
Well, and I agree with that wholeheartedly, but I think it happens after the chase. I think
Okay.
that
All
I
right.
think that Cody goes through the chase, gets the belt back. He goes into the Cody Randy storyline, and Solo goes into the Bloodline versus Bloodline. That's what I see happening.
Possible.
We got Seraph in the chat saying he thinks Cody's going to keep the belt. It's like you said, it's hard to tell. Like either there's an argument for either one. We've got the World Heavyweight Championship: Damian Priest versus Gunther.
I think that I personally think Gunther's winning.
Okay.
I think he goes into Bash at Berlin as the champion. I could absolutely see a Judgment Day debacle that leads to a non-decision finish. And then the rematch in Berlin,
Yeah.
and then he wins the title.
And that's actually where I'm at. I see there being a specifically Finn Balor faux pas. Finn Balor coming to get some unfinished business with Gunther, costing Damian the match, but not the belt. And the rematch happening in Berlin. That's kind of where I see it going. So I feel like Gunther wins the match. He does not win the belt. Damian retains because Finn Balor has to show that he's good enough.
Yep.
We've got WWE Women's Championship, Bayley versus Nia Jax. I'm going to go ahead and take this one first.
Okay.
Because this is what I was alluding to earlier. I love the fact that they keep putting Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton together in this newly found friendship, because I 100% believe that Nia Jax wins this match.
Yeah.
And she gets the belt. And Tiffany Stratton comes out to celebrate with her, cashes in the briefcase, and takes her title.
I think you're probably right. I think that Tiffany is 100% cashing in. I don't know that it'll be on Nia. I
You
think
think they
Bayley,
keep that duo moving forward?
I think Bayley's going to retain. This is just me. I think Bayley's retaining, and I think Tiffany's cashing in on Bayley. But I absolutely see the Nia Tiffany thing. I just think if Nia fails and Tiffany wins the title, then the hierarchy in their relationship flips, and it's no longer Nia protecting Tiffany. It's Nia essentially working for Tiffany.
You can see that. And no, Seraph, we're not saying Tiffy time. Although she is going to be if she becomes champion, we're never going to hear the end of that.
If she becomes champion, she's going to have one of the greatest coronation ceremonies on SmackDown ever. It's going to be great.
Why do I feel like her side plates are going to say Tiffy time?
Because they will. It's her thing.
No. That takes us to the Women's World Championship. Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley both cut great promos on Raw. I loved Liv's because, well, I'm a Liv Morgan fan for one, but we're getting Psycho Liv back, and Psycho Liv is my favorite Liv.
I believe that the one constant on the two sides for me, Liv is leaving with the championship. But
I agree.
I could see Rhea winning by disqualification. But I do think Liv is winning the match, and I do think it's because Dominic helps her.
I was going to say the same thing. I think we get the Dominic turn on Mommy and help Liv Morgan retain the title. Liv and Dom leave together, and then we will get into next week what's going to happen after that. But that leads us to the one match I was talking about earlier. Logan Paul puts the United States Championship up against the one, the only LA Knight. Yeah. LA Knight all day. All day.
I do think LA,
Paul's
yeah.
hometown.
I do think that LA Knight is going to win. I just think because it's Logan Paul's hometown, I could absolutely see his friends or his brother or somebody helping him retain. I don't think that's what they're going to do. I 100% believe LA Knight is winning. I just think that it is absolutely possible they try to stretch this out for one more match.
It's a possibility. I don't see I don't know. I just don't see it stretching out to another match. I can see it stretching out to a rematch, but not to one more match before LA Knight gets the belt. 100% LA Knight gets the belt. That is the only 100% I will give. Mike says Knight has to win this. He's the only Knight I like. Little underhanded jab there to Logan Knight.
Did you purposefully save Sammy Braun for the end, or did you forget about it?
No, I saved that one for the end.
Okay.
Just because I want to talk about what we were discussing earlier.
Possibility.
The possibility, yeah. Okay, so we've got the Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker. On paper, there's no way Braun Breaker doesn't win this, but we said that at the last PLE. That no way Sami Zayn walks out. The rumor going around is that this match will be changed to a triple threat, and it's going to be Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker versus Ilya Dragunov.
Yeah.
Which I'm all for. Like, I think it would be great. But that does kind of change. That changes the whole face of the match.
Yeah, it does. See, the interesting thing for me in that is if you add Ilya Dragunov, that makes me think he's just there to take a pin. But if you have Ilya pull it out and win, then the feud transitions to Braun and Ilya, which has a lot of legs, and also frees up Sammy to potentially go back to the Bloodline storyline.
No, and that's kind of where I'm at on it as well. I do think if the match stays like it is, Sammy versus Braun Breaker wins the match. He is your new Intercontinental Champion.
I agree.
And I think that he did a good job on Raw of saying, I thought you were great at stand-up comedian. Great stand-up comedian. I didn't take you seriously last time.
Yeah.
That's on me.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that they went that route with it. If they add Ilya Dragunov to this, I think Ilya gets the win. And I think you get the Braun Breaker, like you said, Braun Breaker, Ilya Dragunov, freeing Sammy up to go with Jay and Jimmy and Roman. And so it all depends. And all of this comes down to either tomorrow night. Well, no, because they're all on Raw. So this comes down to the 3-hour pre-show. Again, watch the pre-show. There's going to be matches. There's going to be matches made for SummerSlam. There's going to be things that happen. I'm telling you now, you were warned.
Look, we could get a women's tag team title match on the pre-show. We could get a tag team title rematch for whatever happens on SmackDown. We could get something involving Xavier Woods in the Final Testament. We could get something involving Sheamus and Pete Dunne. We could get look, it's the Miz's hometown, and he's not on the card.
He is the host.
Yeah, but he's not on the card. And that's shocking to me that it's his hometown SummerSlam. I get that he's the host, but
And
it's
he's bringing hors d'oeuvres apparently.
it's shocking to me that he's not on the card.
It is and I think that's why he's the host.
I think it's just Miz is so good. How could you not include him?
And I honestly believe that we get something with the Miz. I do believe that we're going to get some kind of match, some kind of something. I just don't know what it's going to be.
If you haven't already, go watch Cody's latest interview with Miz from his bus, because he's been doing these American Stories interviews.
Uh-huh.
He looks in the camera and he looks right at the camera and he says that the Miz is one of the best to ever do it. That came from Cody.
Okay.
And I am 100% on board. I think that the Miz is one of the most. If you go forward 20 years from now, Miz is going to be looked at as one of the most important people of this era of
Agreed.
WWE. He
100%.
he is so much more than anybody thought he was going to be when he showed up.
Down the road, absolute first ballot Hall of Famer.
And I remember his first televised promo where he just plagiarized The Rock on The Real World. And I've been watching him from Real World, back to New York. And I have been a Miz fan from day one. And I couldn't be where he is.
I agree with you. I'm happy where he is. And I think we get something. I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe him and R-Truth get in a fight. I don't know. We're going to see something, though, from The Miz. A lot of hometown heroes in this one. I use that term loosely. Logan Paul, The Miz, Gargano, they're all hometown boys.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We have come to the point in the podcast where we are in the last 5 minutes. So I am going to open the floor to you, my friend, for people listening, people watching, the wrestling world in general. The floor is yours.
I think that everybody needs to really take a long, hard look at this card and see the work that has gone into this card, story-wise, character development, careful placement, the fact that you can look at every one of these matches and you can make an argument for either person winning. This is the most up in the air as far as predictions that I think I've ever seen. And right now, man, Triple H is cooking and we are eating well.
Yes.
And people need to take a long, hard look at the business as a whole and remember where we were 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've got something if you feel like there's really something for you to complain about right now, I don't know that you're ever going to be happy, because we're getting good stuff right now.
And those people are out there, unfortunately.
Well, we need another Vietnam. We need to thin their numbers a little bit.
Easy killer. Start with Dave Meltzer. I mean, what? No, I really am excited about where we are right now. I'm excited about where wrestling as a whole is, be it WWE, the Clown Show, independent wrestling. It is a good time to be a fan of the wrestling industry. Do want to remind everybody that, we talk about these shows that, like, Squared Circle Pro had a big weekend last weekend, BCW the weekend before that. These shows are available to you. Like, go out there and look them up on YouTube. Like, you need to see some of this. If you can't be here live, if you can't see the shows live, you need to watch them so you know what you're missing. And I guarantee you, whether it be the BCW shows or the Squared Circle Pro shows or the OSW shows or the South Plains Championship Wrestling shows or any local wrestling you can get your eyes on, it's going to make you want to be there live. It's going to invest you in this crazy world that we love so much. I am going to throw this out there just because I've checked it out and I think it's awesome. They are not a sponsor per se, but go check out the WSN app, Wrestling Society Network. Great matches, great. Like they're getting more into the independent scene as well. Like there's all sorts of stuff to see on there. So if you can't find it on YouTube, then go check out the WSN app. But get involved, get immersed in wrestling today at all levels, because once again, it is a great time to be a fan of wrestling.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely, it is. Wrestling is in such a good place right now. Such a good place.
It is. And of course, I want to say thank you to everybody that's been in the chat, Mike and Aaron and Stitch, and I guess Seraph too, because he's in there too. Want to thank everybody that's watching, everybody that's listening, everybody's going to watch later on. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for allowing us to spend our Thursday nights with you. Rick, as always, thank you for being on the show. It's always a pleasure to talk
Anytime.
with you.
Anytime, man. I have no life.
You have a wrestling life, man. That's the best kind of life.
I mean, yeah, it is, but it's literally my life. So,
Well, we will be back next Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, right here on Twitch. You can see us on Facebook. You can see us on NotYourAverageMark.com. You can see us on YouTube. See us on Twitch. We're everywhere. So join us next week. We'll be talking about the fallout from SummerSlam and where we think things are going to be going from there. You never know. We might even have a special guest come on. Until then, I am Guapo. That's Rick Elzy. We're Not Your Average Marks. Catch y'all next week.
yeah.
Yeah.